Fighting out of Phoenix, Arizona, Marcus the Maniac McGee!
Brother, what the
Oh, it's horse beef, man. What's going on? And I'm extremely excited for this upcoming card this Saturday because it's insanely stacked for a fight night. Obviously, as you would expect, the part of the world that it's in and the amount of money that comes up from that part of the world, it shouldn't not be of any surprise to anybody. But I'm still shocked looking at the card right now, like how stacked even the prelims are. And the fact that we have Petr Yan versus fucking Marcus McGee as the co-main, and Robert Whittaker versus RDR as the main. RDR and Petr Yan are two of my favorite fighters in the UFC currently. Obviously, you guys know that. Like when it comes to Petr Yan, you guys know this account started off as a Petr Yan fan account, not necessarily, but I used to have him as my profile picture, and I've since matured, as you can tell by my current profile picture, a lot more mature, a lot more fitting for this channel, I believe, as well. But that doesn't mean that I haven't fallen off as a Petr Yan fan. Petr Yan is still probably my favorite fighter currently fighting in the UFC. I love him, his style, everything about him, man. He's a fucking artist in there, and anyone who doesn't appreciate his fight style, then you're gay. And I feel like I should be able to say that in YouTube. It shouldn't even be considered an insult, and if you see that as an insult, then that shows how bigoted you are. God, you guys are such bigots. But let's just get into my breakdown of this card, man, and just skip all the formalities and just get into my breakdown of the fight card, because goddamn, man, even the prelims, I can't believe the prelims for a card like this is crazy. Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. Who is Marcus Buchecha? I don't know. I believe these are just two tubby ass heavyweights. I mean, we know for a fact that Martin Buday is in fact a chubby ass heavyweight. Marcus Buchecha, I'm not going to front and act like I know anything about the guy, and honestly, I didn't even do a second of research on the guy before making this prediction. And man, I'm just gonna flip a coin here, because you know what? Tubby heavyweights are tubby heavyweights. Marcus Buchecha is 35 years old and relatively unexperienced in MMA, and Martin Buday, while he's not the greatest, he's also not the worst of these tubby heavyweights. So I'm going to pick him. I'm going to pick him by decision. Maybe Marcus Buchecha gets it done. Don't give a shit either way, right? It's starting off the card. It's an okay fight. Honestly, to start the card off on a fight night, man, you'd expect some kind of a low-level female fight to start the card off. But we get two fat heavyweights going at it, so that's pretty fun. Mohamd Yaya versus Stephen Nuon. Don't know where to go with this one, because there's always a big unknown when somebody like Yaya is fighting for his job, because he's potentially on the chopping block if he loses this one, and that means one of two things: either he's going to come out swinging, or he's going to fight the most safe possible fight and just grind his way to a decision. But Nuon's quite good on the feet. Yaya is also good on the feet. I would say Nuon has a bit of an advantage there, especially with the power, but Yaya is no slouch, man. He's pretty technical on the feet, and he's well-rounded. And I'm going to pick him. I'm going to pick him to retain his spot in the UFC with a very closely contested decision. Maybe Nuon cracks him in the second round, drops him potentially, and shows him some adversity, but then I think he'll go right back to grinding out this victory in the third round. I don't know. I just feel like Yaya is going to get this one done by some kind of a close decision, but I could also see Nuon getting this done by finish. I could see Yaya finishing Nuon as well. This one is honestly pretty underrated and could end up being a scrap. If they start going punch for punch, this thing could turn into a fucking scrap, and I think either man can finish each other, but I am picking Yaya by decision here. Then we get Ibo Aslan versus Billy Alakana, whatever you say his name. I'm pretty sure Billy Alakana made his debut somewhat recently, and Ibo Aslan is coming off of a loss, if I remember correctly. This is honestly kind of a tough one to pick, but I just feel like Ibo Aslan has such a power advantage here. Like, Billy Alakana is definitely more technical. He's a more technically sound fighter, but he's just one of these newer generation fighters who focuses too much on being technical. Well, Ibo Aslan is just coming at you trying to land big hammers on your head, and I just feel like that's all he'll have to do here. I think he's going to KO Billy Alakana. I'm going to say the first round. Like, I don't really rate Ibo Aslan that much as a talent, but he does throw hammers, and I think that'll be enough here. But Billy Alakana, if he gets out of the first round, I could see him grinding this one out to a decision and keeping it technical, keeping Ibo Aslan at range, just picking him apart and winning by decision. But yeah, man, it could go either way, I guess, but Ibo Aslan by KO for me. Makes a lot of sense here. Then we get Amanda Ribas versus Tabitha Richie. The Gooner special here. Everyone who's a Gooner out there, ooh, you'll be fucking paying close attention to this one, I guess. And this is a tough one, dude, but Tabitha Richie, I feel like she exposed herself a bit against Yan Xiaonan. She's just not well-rounded enough. She's not great anywhere. Where Amanda Ribas, I feel like she has the advantage everywhere. Like, on the feet, she's more dynamic. She'll throw spinning attacks. She'll mix it up on her. And I just feel like she's the better grappler to go along with it too, man. I just think she's the better fighter. Now, when it comes to cake, obviously Tabitha Richie has her beat here. When it comes to overall skill inside the octagon, I think Amanda Ribas is going to have a pretty easy time with Tabitha Richie, but I think Tabitha will survive this one, and Amanda Ribas will win by decision. I'm going to say 30-27 here. I think it'll be relatively one-sided. Then we get Davy Grant. Oh my God, man, a Davy Grant fight is always a spectacle. It's always a scrap, and Blackshere, I think, will bring it to him. But unfortunate for Davy Grant, I think that Blackshere will knock him out here. Like, Davy Grant's just been in too many wars. Way too many wars. He's so weathered at this point. He throws from the hip. He leaves himself so vulnerable to counter shots. And I think Blackshere, he's relatively underrated. He has pretty good power. I think he'll KO Davy Grant in the second round. So I'm going to go with that. Yeah. Blackshere, second round KO. Oh my God, Mohamd Salikov, literally my father. I love the King of Kung Fu. I'm a huge fan of his. But he's going in there against Carlos Leal. This roid head. I hate this matchup for Mohamd Salikov, honestly. I'm scared for him. I think this is going to be a brutal knockout loss. Like, he's already 41 years old. And honestly, the fact that he just KO'd, who was it with a wheel kick? It was a Chinese fighter. I don't know, but he wheel kick KO'd this guy at the age of like 40. I just love this dude. And the fact that he's willing to take a fight against Carlos Leal, clearly being fed to Carlos Leal. Man, big respect to the 41-year-old Mohamd Salikov. And anyone who says I'm just a Dagestani hater, what do you got to say about me loving Mohamd Salikov and him being my father and all? What the fuck you got to say about that? So talk shit somewhere else. But yeah, Carlos Leal, he's obviously on something. The man is a complete beast, a marauder. He just comes forward throwing big shots. He's very technical on the feet. I think Mohamd Salikov, he could catch Leal, but Leal seems to have just an otherworldly chin to go along with it. He just doesn't seem to fear anything coming at him. At least he was going up against Alex Morono. I feel like Mohamd Salikov is definitely a more dangerous fighter than Alex Morono. But he's 41, dude, and he's going to get chinned here, and it's unfortunate. I hate it. Carlos Leal is going to walk forward and chin him. I'm going to say in the first round, dude, Leal fears no consequences of walking forward, and I think it'll benefit him here once again. Then we get Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov, and this is a cool fight, man. It's Bryce Mitchell's first fight at bantamweight, and I think he can make that cut relatively easy. He never looked like a big featherweight. He has no like real muscular definition to go along with it either. Kind of has the bag of milk build. So I never really saw him as a featherweight. So this move down actually makes a lot of sense. He's only 30. But the only path to victory I see here for Bryce Mitchell, as much as I want to pick him, I honestly don't think that he'll win this fight. I think Said Nurmagomedov is just too good. He's too quick. His footwork, it's too nice, man, at bantamweight. I don't know if Bryce Mitchell is ready for the speed that some of these guys have on the feet. Like Said, he is a very good fighter. He's well-rounded, great kicking game. Again, he has great kicks, very, very quick, snappy kicks. Reminds me of Umar in that regard. And he can wrestle, man. He can also wrestle. Like, this is no walk in the park for Bryce. Obviously, he'll have to attack submissions. I think that's the only real path to victory, unless Bryce is able to smudge Said against the fence and maybe just dominate him on the ground, stay in top control, and just secure rounds that way. But as long as this fight's on the feet, I don't see Bryce Mitchell having a lot for Said. He'll have such a speed advantage, footwork advantage. I just don't think that Bryce has a lot for a lot of these bantamweights, if I'm being totally honest. As much as I want to pick him, I'm going to go with Said Nurmagomedov by decision once again. Maybe closely fought. Maybe Bryce Mitchell does hold Said Nurmagomedov down for a round, but I think Said will be able to get back to his feet. And once he's on the feet, pick apart Bryce Mitchell. But then if you get to the third round, let's see how Said holds up. Let's see. Maybe Bryce Mitchell can secure a submission in the third round. Let's see how Bryce looks at 135. Obviously, this is a complete unknown, uncharted territory. We haven't seen him at that weight class. But I think Said will have too much for him. And that's my opinion there. Then we have the main card starting off with Nikita Krylov. Unfortunate, man, that we lost Movsar versus Aaron Pico. But I guess according to all the Daggy fan logic, Movsar is ducking a Bellator fighter. Man, what a fucking bum, dude. But let's move on. Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. This is a tough one, right? Nikita Krylov is coming off of a brutal knockout loss to the King Dominic Reyes, of course. And Bogdan Guskov is coming off a second round submission victory over Billy Alakana before KOing Ryan Spann and KOing Zach Palga. This guy, I don't think he's that good. I'm not overly impressed by his overall skill set. But he's just so tenacious and he hits so hard. And seeing as Nikita Krylov is coming off a brutal knockout loss, I think he's going to get knocked out again. I think he's going to get knocked out again. Bogdan Guskov, he has hammers in those hands, and I think it's just going to be as simple as that. I think he will bonk Nikita Krylov on the chin and put him out. I'm going to say first round. I think so, man. Nikita Krylov, I think he's going to come bum rushing in and get clipped once again. We then have another underappreciated banger in Asu Alabaya versus Ramazan Tamirov. Now, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I am pretty high on Tamirov. The dude, he's just this short, stocky, big puncher. He loves to walk you down, loves to throw shots to the body as well. And I feel like he's going to win this one, man. As for Alabaya, of course, he does have that takedown threat, but I think Tamirov will be a tough guy to take down with that short, stocky build that he has. He seems to have good hips as well. And Asu, I just think will be so outgunned on the feet. Tamirov, I think, will land a big shot, hurt Asu Alabaya, and then just proceed to piece him up against the fence, digging those big left hooks to the body. Tamirov is dirty. He is a dirty-ass fighter, only 28 years old as well. I think he's going to get this one done against Asu Alabaya. I know Alabaya is high level, and he's fought some high-level guys at flyweight. But Tamirov, he just seems like that guy. He just has that X factor for me. And I think he'll walk down Asu Alabaya, like I said. And I think he'll TKO him. I think in the second round. He'll get him. And then we get Putin and Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barrios. And I'm not sure that this one should be as one-sided on the odds as it really is. Like, Putin is a pretty heavy favorite. Marc-Andre Barrios is a very heavy underdog. But you look at these guys stylistically. Putin likes to keep you at range, just land tippy-tap leg kicks. He doesn't honestly have very good hands, very good boxing at all. Very much of a singular shot type of fighter as well. And Marc-Andre Barrios, he likes to eat shots, get you against the fence, rough you up a little bit. And he's been making good work of that recently against opponents. He has momentum going into this fight. Putin's coming off the loss. I feel like if this goes to decision, obviously you'd have to favor Putin just because of where it is and what we've seen in the past with judges' decisions in that part of the world, favoring certain fighters of a certain creed, you know what I mean? But, weirdly, I can see Marc-Andre Barrios successfully implementing that game plan. I can see it working for him, man. Putin, he's just too selective with his shots. He's a leg kick spammer. I can see him beating up the front leg of Marc-Andre Barrios, but he doesn't provide a whole lot of danger on the feet, I don't think. At the UFC level, he hasn't really shown it yet. Like, he's shown it against bums. I get that. Well, not necessarily bums, but you guys know what I mean, like lower level competition. But I don't know. I don't think it'll work against Barrios. Obviously, he could spark him. I think his best path to victory is an early KO. But the longer this fight goes, man, Marc-Andre Barrios, if you're not getting him out of there, he's going to keep rotting forward, keep pushing you up against the fence and landing his little shots, those little elbows. And as we saw against Bruno Silva, this man can do damage with those elbows up close. I don't know. I think he's actually going to grind out a decision win here against Putin and Magomedov. As much as the judges would like to rob Marc-Andre Barrios, I think he will make it so decisive that they won't be able to. And I'm going to say Barrios by decision 30-27. Then we move along to the real meat and potatoes of this stacked ass card, dude. Petr Yan versus Marcus McGee, the Gorgonite, the king of the Gorgonites. Now when I first saw this fight announced, I thought, you know what, dude? Even though Marcus McGee, he's only number like 13, number 12 ranked or whatever. Even though he's pretty lowly ranked and hasn't fought anyone near the level of Petr Yan, he could actually provide some real danger to Petr just because of how technical he is. He's very skilled. He's very well rounded. But Petr Yan, the more I've thought about it, in fact, like 1 second after I had that thought that Marcus was a tough fight, about 1 second later, I decided that, nah, in fact, Petr Yan is going to style on Marcus McGee because Petr Yan is simply better everywhere. Not just better everywhere, but far better everywhere. His Muay Thai, his boxing, every one of his skills in a vacuum is far stronger than Marcus McGee. Now, obviously, Marcus is very technical. He has good hands. He has good kicks of his own. Right? He is a very technical striker, and he's not too bad on the ground. He is a well-rounded fighter. But Petr Yan is the epitome of that, in my opinion. I think he displays the highest level skill set in all of MMA currently. The way that he mixes up his boxing with his incredible Muay Thai, his trips in the clinch, his knees and elbows in the clinch as well. Everything about Petr Yan's game is so high level. The only thing he hasn't really displayed much of is jiu-jitsu, but his scrambling ability, his overall takedown game is so underrated. Like the fact that Petr Yan isn't regarded as one of the better wrestlers, even at 135, is crazy to me because he is one of the best wrestlers at 135. The way he mixes up and sets up his takedowns, the way he feints the uppercut and then shoots for legs and gets you on the ground. Listen, Petr Yan is a fucking magician, dude. He is a technician in there. And I think he's going to put on yet another one-sided beatdown on an opponent. Now, the one issue with Petr Yan that I have is the fact that he doesn't really seem to have much knockout power in his hands. He is much more of a volume guy, and he will style on you and really just break you down. If he's going to finish you, he's going to finish you with volume, like similar to like a past Max Holloway in that regard, to where he doesn't really have that one shot that could put you out, but he goes to the body, right? He goes to the body, mixes it up top, and just breaks you down systematically. and just demoralizes you with the fact that you can't seem to even really land clean on him because he's so defensively responsible with that high guard. And Marcus McGee, I just don't think can punish Petr Yan to any considerable level when he does shell up like that, because that's Petr Yan's biggest weakness, right? It's a great strength of his and a great weakness, because if you get him to shell up and then you can get to his hips, you can take him down potentially and just mix him up, or you can get him to shell up and whip an uppercut or a left hook around the guard or whatever, or an overhand through the guard. You know what I mean? Like, there are a lot of ways to set up Petr Yan and get him to make mistakes, but I'm not too sure that Marcus McGee will do that here. Petr Yan, I just look at him as Marcus McGee, but 10 times better in all areas. Maybe not 10 times better. I'm sure that's much of an exaggeration. It's fucking big hyperbole. But I just see Petr Yan as the far better fighter. This is a mismatch. Like, Marcus McGee is seriously going from someone like Jonathan Martinez, where he had trouble with him, by the way. Like, he pieced up Jonathan Martinez and gave Jonathan Martinez nothing to work with in the first 2 rounds. But then in the third, he was getting his leg kicked off his body, and he didn't have much of an answer for it. He had his leg chewed up in that third, and it was looking pretty dicey for him. So if you're struggling with a one-dimensional Jonathan Martinez, like, Jonathan Martinez is almost as one-dimensional as they come. The man just spams leg kicks. It's all he has. And Marcus McGee struggled with that guy. Petr Yan is going to unload his bag of tools on Marcus McGee, I believe. And I don't know if he'll finish him, but I am still going to predict a third-round finish. I think he will melt Marcus McGee by the third round, get him out of there. I think he wants to make a statement here, because if he goes to decision with Marcus McGee and it isn't one-sided, then people will still call Petr Yan washed for whatever reason. But I think he'll make a statement here, put it on Marcus McGee throughout the whole fight, style on him, and then in the third, melt him down with those body shots, right? Body kicks, leg kicks. He's going to be attacking all areas of Marcus McGee. And he's just never seen anything like Petr Yan inside that cage before. As high level as Marcus McGee is, nah. He's getting fucked up in this fight by Petr Yan. Third round, TKO. Petr Yan's my boy. Cannot wait to watch him fight once again. But let's move on to the main event, man. RDR.
I don't really know, but if you're sending pictures of your titties and stuff, my wife sees it, so email those to me. Email.
Versus Robert Whittaker. Now, I love Robert Whittaker, so I take no pride in predicting a loss for Robert Whittaker. I picked him against Khamzat Chimaev, for fuck's sake. I did. I just feel like the physicality of Reinier de Ridder is such a factor here. His size at middleweight, I don't know how he makes the weight. It makes no sense to me. And I think as soon as he gets his arms around Robert Whittaker, the fight will become dicey right away. Like, of course, Robert Whittaker has a massive advantage on the feet, you would think. But RDR, I think from his fighting as GM3 to Bo Nickel, he showed some considerable improvements on the feet. I would say maybe that speaks to just the level that Bo Nickel was at on the feet. But he did show some pretty decent improvements there, especially in the clinch, the way that he was just feeding those dirty boxing uppercuts to Bo Nickel's chin, knees to the body, just giving him no time to react to anything because it was just constant volume. And that's a big improvement that I've seen with RDR. Like, obviously he's not the most technical in the world, but with his size, right, he can be physically imposing. And if he's just walking at you and just trying to get his hands around your neck and trying to grab you, leaning on you, right, using that size, I think it'll get to Robert Whittaker at some point here. Right, I believe that he will get into range. Maybe Robert will crack him. I think in the first round he could definitely crack RDR, right? Because RDR is not the best striker in the world, and his head does stay in the center line. Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. But he's a tough motherfucker. He is, and he's shown that he is UFC level. He's shown that. And when you look at the momentum of the two guys, Robert Whittaker, obviously he's beaten the best of the best. Obviously, coming off of a catastrophic loss to Khamzat Chimaev, and RDR obviously like beating GM3 and Bo Nickel. It's like those aren't the most impressive wins in the world. So like picking him against Robert Whittaker, who's done it all, seen it all, beaten the best, been in there with the best of the best. You would say much more scary competitors than RDR. But I just think that RDR is going to continue this momentum. And I don't know if it'll be an easy win necessarily. I think he will face adversity in the first round. But like I said, if this fight hits the mat, which I think it will, because of how big and strong RDR looks in there, I think he'll make Robert Whittaker tap. I'm going to say in the third round. He's essentially just the jiu-jitsu variant of DDP in there. He's so goofy, yet it works for him. That weird, fucking, completely non-technical pressure that he puts on you. Like, he's like the polar opposite of a Petr Yan. Petr Yan is a pressure fighter, but he's so technical with, he's feinting in and out, setting you up for the entire fight. RDR just walks into range. And Robert Whittaker can crack. He absolutely can. But let's say he cracks RDR, wobbles him, and falls him to the ground. That's the last place you want to be with somebody like RDR. Because he can grapple with the best of them. He might be the most technically skilled grappler at 185 right now. I think he's a nightmare matchup for even Khamzat Chimaev. I think he is. And I'm picking him here. I think he will make Robert Whittaker tap. I'm going to say in the 3rd round. I think Robert Whittaker will hurt RDR. I think he will have his moments. I just question whether Robert Whittaker has the power to really get RDR out of there. I question that. And Robert Whittaker does have 5-round experience. Right? He can go all 5 rounds. But against who? Like, what type of a pace? I think that the forward pressure of RDR with that size of his, how physically imposing he is, the frame of his as well, he will be weighing on Robert Whittaker the longer this fight goes. And even though Robert does have the more 5-round experience, RDR's style, I think, is more applicable to a 5-round fight. And he just seems to be operating on a separate gas tank once that fight does hit the mat. And I think at any round in this fight, any moment in this fight, RDR can tie up Robert Whittaker and make him tap. And that's what I think is going to happen. And I do think it'll happen in the 3rd round here. But then again, if Robert Whittaker is to go out there and spark RDR and quote-unquote fraud check him, that would not surprise me whatsoever, because we haven't seen RDR do that to someone who isn't GM3 or Bo Nickel. You know what I mean? Like, those are 2 very favorable matchups for him, and he struggled on the feet big time against GM3 of all people, right? So it makes a lot of sense to pick Robert Whittaker by KO here. It makes a lot of sense. But I just love RDR, and because I want to put it out into the universe, and I want it to happen so bad, I need him versus DDP. I've said it since his debut. I've been such a fan of this goofy motherfucker since that fight. And I need that to happen. So I'm going to put it out there and risk my perfect prediction rate, as you guys know, and put it on RDR. RDR by 3rd round submission. Mark my words, it's going to happen. But I do love Robert Whittaker, and I take no pleasure in picking against him. But it simply has to happen. And that does conclude my predictions for this upcoming card this Saturday. I look very much forward to it, guys. I hope you do as well. I know you guys do. If you're fight fans, you have to be looking forward to a Petr Yan fight night, an RDR fight night, Robert Whittaker fight night. Come on, man. Stacked ass card. Cannot wait for it. But anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.